You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow again, not because you don't care, but because something inside you feels heavy. You want to move, you want to act, yet your body stays still, and the word you use is lazy. But what if that word is wrong? What if this isn't a motivation problem at all? What if it's something your brain is quietly drowning in? On the outside, it looks simple. You delay the email, you avoid the task, you scroll instead of starting, but inside, it doesn't feel simple. There's a constant background pressure, like too many browser tabs open in your mind. You're thinking about what you should do, what you haven't done, what might go wrong when you finally start. So you stay still, not because you don't want progress, but because movement feels overwhelming. Abstract brain animation with overlapping layers. Over time, this starts shaping how you see yourself. I'm undisciplined. I waste potential. Other people handle life better than me. You begin to distrust your own intentions. You stop promising yourself things. In relationships, you pull back. In decisions, you hesitate. In private moments, you feel quietly ashamed. Psychologically, this isn't laziness. It's a state of emotional overload, and most people never realize that's what they're living with. Here's the part that changes everything. Your brain isn't failing you. It's trying to protect you. When you avoid action, your nervous system is saying, this feels like too much right now. Avoidance isn't a character flaw. It's an adaptive response. Waves moving slowly, then becoming calmer. At some point, your system learned that pushing forward came with emotional cost. Maybe criticism, maybe pressure, maybe disappointment, maybe chronic stress with no recovery. So your brain adjusted. Instead of mobilizing energy, it learned to conserve it. That's not laziness, that's survival. But to change it, you need to understand how this state forms. Okay, let's slow this down. Motivation does not start in willpower. It starts in the nervous system, specifically in how safe or overloaded your brain feels. When emotional demands pile up, unprocessed stress, suppressed feelings, constant self-pressure, your brain enters a protective mode. In neuroscience, this is linked to the balance between the prefrontal cortex, planning, action, focus, the limbic system, emotion, threat detection. Simple split brain diagram, calm versus alert. When emotional load is high, the limbic system dominates. It signals do less, conserve, avoid risk. Your prefrontal cortex, the part that initiates action, goes quiet. Here's a metaphor. Imagine your mind as a backpack. Each unresolved emotion is a stone. Stress, guilt, pressure, fear. At first, you can still walk, but eventually, even standing feels exhausting. So your brain sits down, not because it's weak, but because the load is too heavy. And here's the key insight most people miss. Action requires emotional capacity. Without that capacity, effort feels impossible. But how do you rebuild it? Not by pushing harder. That's what keeps the overload in place. This isn't about doing more, it's about clearing space. Here's a psychologically grounded framework. Step 1, separate energy from worth. What to do? Notice when you morally judge your lack of action. Replace I'm lazy with my system is overloaded. Why it works. Shame activates the threat system, increasing emotional load. Reducing self-judgment lowers limbic activation. Real life example. You clean the room. Instead of spiraling, you name the state. Overloaded, not lazy. Call a notebook with one sentence written. This alone creates mental breathing room, but that's only the beginning. Step 2, drain emotional tabs before starting tasks. What to do? Before action, release one emotional tab. Write it, name it, externalize it. Why it works. Working memory is limited. Emotional processing consumes the same cognitive resources needed for action. Real life example. Before working, you write, I'm anxious about failing. Not to solve it, just to unload it. This frees capacity without effort. Still, you may feel stuck. That's because overload isn't just mental, it's physiological. Step 3, use body signals to signal safety. What to do? Slow down physically before asking for focus. Breath out longer than you breathe in. Lower the shoulders, soften the jaw. Why it works. The vagus nerve communicates safety to the brain. Safety precedes motivation. Real life example. Before starting, you sit still for 30 seconds. No phone, no task, just settling. Slow moving light patterns. This isn't relaxation, it's regulation. And regulated systems move more naturally. Step 4, shrink the action until resistance disappears. What to do? Lower the starting point until your nervous system doesn't resist. Not finish, not even